It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And good morning to all of our listeners across the John Fredericks Media Network. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville, just a stone's throw from the Tennessee State Capitol. You can reach us on X, formerly Twitter, Michael P. Leahy. Michael P. Leahy, you can send me a public message or a private message there. If you follow me, I have 32,000 followers, and it's okay. It's gone up from when we started this about a year and a half ago, after Elon Musk bought Twitter, changed it to X. I think I had maybe 16,000 followers. So it's doubled since then. So it's working well with X, but I think we need to get to 100,000, right? Got to get to 100,000. So if you're out there, go to Michael P. Leahy, follow me there. I would also be delighted to hear from you today. Our number here, write it down. We've started getting more. We don't have the 800 number. I don't think we will get it for a while. It's but write this number down, right? Got your pen? Here we go. 615-649-8477. 615-649-8477. What I'd like to hear from you today, tell our producer, Patrick, when you call, your name and where you're from. But what I'd like to hear from you today is your reaction to 1, 2, 3.5 full days, 3.5 days of Trump 47. Are you liking it? Is it going to get better and better? I think it will. And what do you think of all this nonstop energy and action and the transparency? Unbelievable. Let's go to back to that issue, some of the communications that we're getting from the Trump team. Here is a clip of an executive order he signed on energy. Clip 13.
Let me ask about the economy. Okay, so will the tax cuts be permanent? No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And explain, when you talk about all of this money under our feet, and the golden era of America, and energy, drill, baby, drill. How do you get these companies to invest billions? And how quickly are they going to extract this energy and maybe supply Western Europe? Because I agree with you. It's money that will save this country.
We have more oil and gas than any other country, and we're going to have more. And with Anwar, which he ended, Anwar is the biggest. Anwar could be, that's in Alaska, could be as big or bigger than Saudi Arabia. We have more than any other country. It's a great thing. It's a great asset because China doesn't have that. China does not have that. They have to go out the old-fashioned way and buy it. We have more than anybody. We're going to become a wealthy country again, and energy is going to lead the way. But there'll be other things also, tariffs, because tariffs, we were our wealthiest in the 1890s, okay? And by the way, we're going to rename Mount McKinley into Mount McKinley because he was a great president from Ohio, he was a senator from Ohio. He was a very successful businessman who believed strongly in tariffs. He ran for the Senate, he won. He ran for the presidency, he won. He was ultimately assassinated in his second term, but he made the country very rich. And Teddy Roosevelt then came along, and I'm not knocking Teddy Roosevelt, but he spent the money that was made during the McKinley years, and he did, a lot of great things.
Let's I misspoke, got it wrong. That wasn't about the executive order. It was just overall, but what he's doing, energy. And look, he's going to get the regulations down. That was the Sean Hannity interview last night, by the way, which was a good get for Sean. I think Sean could have done better questioning, but okay, he's been around for a long time. He's known Trump for 30 years. I've only known Trump, asterisk, for 10 years? And I would say known Trump would be a bit of, we don't hang out. I've interviewed him 4 or 5 times. That's about it. I've been good interviews, right? How many interviews has Donald Trump done? It seems like everybody in the United States of America has either met Trump in person or interviewed him once or twice, right? This guy is so accessible. I think it's just fantastic. And right now, as we speak, he is on a plane and he is headed towards North Carolina. He'll land shortly. And like the moment he lands, we are going to get a communication from his communications team. I was talking with EJ today, EJ Host, and she was credentialed for a Trump event. And because of that, she's on the list. She's getting all the communications from the Trump team, as I am, as our executive editor, Christina Poteria is, as our lead political reporter, Tom Pappert is. I mean, they're just giving all this information, and it's beyond fantastic. Now, Trump has had an effect already on the border, and we want to play a little clip about that. Let's go to clip 11, what the southern border is like in the 3.5 days since Donald Trump has been inaugurated and as the 47th president of the United States.
So it's a mission that Americans essentially voted for, right? Literally go in, find these criminal illegal immigrants and get them out of the United States. And full disclosure here, these operations are already underway, but these teams here, they are no stranger to the streets or to these operations. So here's what we know about the fugitive operations teams that are currently on the ground. The majority of the men and women out there arresting illegal immigrants right now, they're part of the Fugitive Operations Task Force. Now, this is a detail within ICE ERO, which is the ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations. They've been around for years. We were able to tag along with crews in Chicago over the summer last year, and now it's expanding to cover even more ground more quickly. So how are these targets that they're arresting actually selected? The ICE fugitive operations officer is going to get a docket or a packet with their targets. That contains criminal and non-criminal migrants. Now, they prioritize the convicted criminals. Most are registered sex offenders, murderers.
Okay, let me
rapists,
just stop. That was News Nation, which is owned by Nexstar Media, which owns here WKRN. And also owns The Hill. They are kind of regime media types. And notice how she framed it. Criminal migrants and non-criminal migrants. They're not migrants. They're illegal aliens. You know, Ron DeSantis, I guess we'll get that. We don't have time to play that clip, but let's get that clip up. Ron DeSantis later, when we come back, we'll see how he corrected a reporter who called this reporter called them migrants. They're not. They're illegal aliens. DeSantis held a press conference, and they were talking about some of the new legislation they're passing in Florida to help get rid of these illegal aliens. The reporter then said, "Oh, no, they're undocumented workers." And DeSantis just said, "No, they're not undocumented. They're illegal aliens. That's what the law calls them, illegal aliens." So let's go back to this reporter from News Nation, right? Regime media, basically. She says criminal migrants and non-criminal migrants. No. If you enter the United States illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal in that particular crime. What they're going after is people who have committed additional crimes, either here in the United States or in their country of origin. And boy, the level of crime committed by these illegal aliens is significantly higher than the level of crime committed by, average American citizens. We'll be back with more after this. We'll hear from Ron DeSantis, setting a reporter correct. Back after this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Our number, 615-649-8477, 615-649-8477. Love to hear from you. All right. We were talking about Ron DeSantis. It's interesting because if you look at the history of this, right, the political history, there was, I think, in 2022, when the red wave in the midterm elections turned out to be, a pink dribble. And Republicans did much less well than people thought. And part of it, people thought, had to do with the fact that Trump had picked endorsed some people that were, not so great. Dr. Oz, for instance, in Pennsylvania, turned out to be not really a great candidate, and lost to John Fetterman. And there were a couple other examples of this. And so at that time, people were saying, maybe it's time for Donald Trump to kind of go off into the sunset. Remember that? And there was this big buzz for Ron DeSantis as the next generation. Now, DeSantis has been really a terrific governor of Florida. He's in his, second 4-year term. I think his term is up in 2026. And so, all the political guys got in. And remember how we got here. There were a number of, like a dozen Republicans that wanted to run for president, and in the 2024 cycle. And after the 2022 midterms, like immediately after, Ron DeSantis announced. And now he's a terrific governor. He's about late 40s now, I think, and has a really good record. And people were saying he's the natural conservative populist to replace Donald Trump. That was what people were saying. But Trump, resilient, kept at it. And DeSantis was seen as the biggest potential challenger to Donald Trump. He launched his campaign. When was it? Like in March of 23? When he launched it, I think. And it was a debacle as a campaign. It was a poorly run campaign. He was not ready for the prime time. Remember that launch on X? They did it live, and it did all sorts of technical problems. And he also he's kind of stiff, shall we say. Now, it's fine as governor, and he's really done a great job as governor. I mean, really, he's really good as governor. But he wasn't quite ready for prime time. And Donald Trump, of course, was Donald Trump. He didn't show up at any of the debates, and nobody touched him. He did very, easily won all the primaries, and easily was selected as the nominee. The rest is history, as they say. And for a period of time, anybody that had endorsed Ron DeSantis over Trump was really in the doghouse with, of course, our friend Stephen K. Bannon, and with Trump. And so, for instance, our buddy Steve Cortez, who was on the DeSantis bandwagon for a period of time, really been good friends with Stephen K. Bannon, been on Bannon all the time, Remember when Steve Cortez went back and got on the DeSantis train? Boom. You haven't seen him ever again on Bannett's War Room, right? And so, and his campaign was a disaster. He just wasn't ready for it. But let me tell you something. As a governor, he's done great with dealing with all the hurricanes. He's such a contrast with Gavin Newsom. And, of course, he destroyed Gavin Newsom in the Fox News debates, which was, I think, hosted by Sean Hannity. Anyways, the point on all this is DeSantis is back. And this press conference, we'll go to clip 15 right now. A reporter was talking about undocumented migrants. And DeSantis just destroyed him. Here we go. Clip 15.
I just have 4 questions. One, Florida is home to hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants who are working in areas.
Well, so the federal government has made clear that the statutory term, it's not they're illegal aliens. That's the statutory term. That's what it is. And I think it's to try to water down. I mean, like, undocumented, it's like if I get in my car and I forget my wallet, okay, I don't have my document on me, like my driver's license, but I mean, I still have a right to drive. I just made a mistake. This is intentional to come in illegally. And it's not just a question of missing a document. It's a question of, you violated the law that were very clear, and knowingly, and with the help of the cartels in many cases.
Boom. Okay. So that, I love it. Right? Because we get all this, the language, undocumented immigrant. He said undocumented immigrant. The News Nation reporter said, non-criminal migrant. No. Illegal alien is a word, folks. I thought that was just well done. And look, DeSantis has a political future. He's a young man. And, he's term limited out from running for a 3rd consecutive term for governor. I think people in Florida would love to have him as governor for a 3rd consecutive term, but I think he's term limited out on that. So the question is, what's he going to do? I think there's probably going to be a place for him my guess is there'd be a place for him somewhere in the Trump administration. I don't know exactly what it would be, but, that makes sense. I'll tell you one place that there's never going to be a vacancy is in the border advisor to the president, Tom Homan. That guy, oh my goodness, hitting it out of the park. Let's go, clip 17, Tom Homan.
We're going to take a lot of hate. We're going to be sued every day, numerous times. I think you'll see the left try to control the media. They're going to show the first crying female, first crying child, and say how inhumane we are. But they won't talk about 340,000 children that they've failed to take care of. They're not going to talk about the young women who have been murdered in this country at the hands of criminal cartels. They're not going to talk about the hundreds of angel moms and dads who buried their children. You want to talk about family separation? They buried their children because their children were killed by a member of a criminal cartel or someone that's not supposed to be here. They'll tell one side of the story. They'll try to vilify us, but they're not going to stop us from doing our job. I don't care what the media says about me. If they saw what I saw in 34 years, saw the tragedies I've dealt with in 34 years, they would certainly understand me. They may not still like me, but there's a reason why we do what we do. Yeah. I'm tired of women being raped, making that journey. I'm tired of dead children. I'm tired of women and children being sex trafficked. On this administration, sex trafficking is up 600% of women and children. We have a record number of people on the terrorist watch list being arrested. Historic record. 35,
Let me pause here just 100%. A minute. He said that this was recorded. This was a Daily Signal interview that happened, I think, about a week before the inauguration. So just to put that in context. Let's keep rolling with Tom Homan.
Historic record. 3,500% increase. Record number of Americans dying of fentanyl. We got a record number of cartel members that have entered this country. The criminal cartels in Mexico making more money than they've ever made in smuggling aliens, trafficking in women and children, and moving dope. So, hate all you want.
Okay, stop. Just a minute. That is so Tom Homan. Hate all you want. What are you really saying? Hate Donald Trump and me all you want. We're going to get the job done. let's roll with Homan a little bit more.
Misinformation all you want. We're not going to slow down. We're not going to go away. We're going to get this done.
We're going to get it done. Speaking of which, okay, now let's jump forward to, I think it was yesterday. We have clip 5. We got a report from Tom Homan about how many people have been arrested.
Well, I can tell you right now, Chris, is we arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals. Who are the other ones? They're either fugitives who've been through immigration court in order to remove but didn't leave and became a fugitive, or collaterals. Where did the collateral arrests happen? In sanctuary cities, because they forced us into the community. Look, I said from day one, no one's off the table. If you're United States illegally, you got a problem. But we are concentrating on public safety threats first. And it just makes sense. I don't care if a Republican, a Democrat, Independent. Why not let law enforcement go into a county jail, a taxpayer county jail, to arrest a guy that you locked in a jail cell? So obviously he's a public safety threat. That would solve a lot of this problem. I hope the sanctuary cities come around. I really hope once they see what we're doing, and we'll invite you out, we'll be very transparent. Once they see that we really are concentrated on the criminals, that they'll come to us and sit at the table and work with us.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. By the way, that was an interview he conducted with Chris Cuomo, who's now with that News Nation operation I told you about. Kind of regime media asterisk, but I will say this about Chris Cuomo. He's a lot easier to listen to on News Nation than he was on CNN. Now it's a low bar, but still. Hey, when we come back, I got a curveball for you. Little hint, little sports angle here. We don't usually do it, but I'm from the Buffalo area, so get ready. Back after this.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Well, I told you earlier we were going to throw a curveball because we usually talk about politics, but we're going to mix sports metaphors here. And we are calling an audible. See what we did there? Curveball, audible. Yes. I don't think we have ever done a full segment since we've been on the John Frederick Radio Network for now over a year. Since December of last year we started, right? I don't think we've ever done a full segment on sports, but we're going to do it right now. And the reason we're going to do it right now is because I grew up in upstate New York and graduated from high school at Randolph, New York, which is 60 miles south of Buffalo, New York. And earlier, you may recall, I was out of college at this time, but the Buffalo Bills, didn't they go to like 4 consecutive Super Bowls and lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls? Is it time for redemption? Everybody in Western New York is rooting for them. Everybody in upstate New York is rooting for the Buffalo Bills. So we're going to talk about the conference championships today. By the way, if you want to, and I will give you, I'm going to do, now I'm not the Godzilla as John Fredericks is, right? But I am going to give you my picks before the end of the segment. Basically, here's the thing. What I want to talk about is the conference championships right now. Yeah, the conference championships that are going to be held on Sunday, with the first game is the Washington, I can't even say it, Commanders, right? Versus the Washington Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Spelled for the mayor of Philadelphia, Eagles are spelled E-A-G-L-E-S. E-A-G-L-E-S. She misspelled it. But okay, she's trying, and she's a bit of a sports fan. So we got that going on. That's the first game. I'll pick that game. And then we've got the later game on Sunday, the Buffalo Bills. I guess you could call them my team, right? Since I'm from upstate New York. And against the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City. I'm going to make a pick there. You'll listen to it. By the way, if you want to make your pick, now's the time to do it. 615-649-8477. 615-649-8477. Now, we've got John Fredericks has Godzilla picks on Saturdays, and I'm sure he'll have his picks. He does it on this network every Saturday. And I'm not in the picking hierarchy in the same way that John Fredericks is. But, I'm a guy. I follow sports. Used to play football in college for a year on the freshman team, 4th string, carried the ball twice for 2 yards. I've told you all about that. Not exactly a collegiate history of glory. However, having said all that, let's talk about the games. Let's talk about Washington and Philadelphia first. Washington has a feel to it, and the feel is this young quarterback, this Jalen Daniels, the guy out of LSU. The guy's got ice water in his veins, and he doesn't make mistakes. And in fact, if you look at it now, they didn't play. They were 12-5. Yeah, I think they were 12-5. in the regular season. Pretty good. They were a game or two behind the Eagles. They split the regular season with the Eagles. But this Jalen Daniels guy has been playing lights out. They barely beat Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield had a handoff problem, and it ended up hurting them. But Jalen Daniels just delivered. The guy is really, really good. He's a good runner, and he's a great passer. And then they went to Detroit, which everybody thought Detroit would win. They just blew them out. I mean, they blew them out 45-31. Totally destroyed them. And I was rooting for the Detroit Lions. But, you got to show up. You got to do the job. The Detroit Lions have never been to a Super Bowl. Never. The first Super Bowl was, 1966? Yeah, pretty sure. And I watched that. Super Bowl, who cares? No, turned into something else. Anyways, having said all that, the Detroit Lions last won a National Football League championship in 1957. In the 50s, they won a number of them. But, were there 8 teams? I don't know. There weren't many teams in the league then, 8, maybe 12. So it was a totally different era. But the Commanders and by the way, what a stupid name. Go back to the Redskins, right? But they're stuck with the Commanders for now. Okay. They won a Super Bowl, I think it was 1991, and I think they beat Buffalo in the early 1990s. They haven't been to Super Bowl since. I don't think they've gone beyond, I don't think they've had any playoff wins for over a decade. But this kid, Daniels, he's really good as their quarterback. He's going to be, we've seen great quarterbacks, right? Either Tom Brady, and then now Patrick Mahomes. I think this Daniels kid is the next Brady Mahomes guy. He's at that level. Really, really good. Now, the Eagles is, the head coach there, Nick Sirianni, is an upstate New York guy. He played football at Southwestern High School, which is in Chautauqua County. It's a big high school. It's a suburban county of a city called Jamestown, right on Lake Chautauqua. But Southwestern High School in Lakewood, New York, I don't know, it had, the graduating class of maybe 300 kids, something like that. It was bigger than my high school, Randolph. We never played them. But my kid brother, who was a quarterback for the Randolph team that did very well, my kid brother played against him. I think beat him a couple times. But Sirianni was there and played well. His dad was a coach there at Southwestern High School. And he's gone up the ranks. He's the coach at the Philadelphia Eagles now. So, and he's been sort of controversial. What do they have going for him? Well, they've got a terrific offense. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, former Alabama, then Oklahoma quarterback. Saquon Barkley, just, unbelievably good. Over 2,000 yards this year. Could have possibly, or over 1,900 yards this year. Could have broken the record, I think. But they sat him out the last game. That guy's great. You've seen him. If he breaks away, he could be really, really good. The game's going to be in Philadelphia, the first game. The Commanders. I think, though, Jalen Hurts, he's got a little bit, he was in this concussion protocol. And in their last game that they won to get into the playoffs against the Rams, 28-22, the Rams almost came back and won it, right? They just had a couple of passes that didn't make it at the end, but they were at the 22-yard line. The weather was terrible, and it was one of those snowy days, snow all over the field. But I don't think Jalen Hurts is fully recovered from that concussion. He just doesn't seem quite as sharp. So my pick there, are you waiting for it? I think it's the Eagles are maybe a touchdown favorite. I think the Commanders have the big momentum. I think it's the Commanders who's going to win. Okay. The Washington football team. The Washington Redskins. Let's just say it. That's who they are. Okay. Then in the evening, now this is going to be cold. It's at Kansas City, and you've got Buffalo Bills against Kansas City. I think they played in, 2020? and the Bills were ahead back and forth again, and at the last minute, the Chiefs pulled it out. Look, you talk about, being able to deliver. Patrick Mahomes can deliver, and he's got a huge track record. They've won 3 of the past 5 Super Bowls. They're pretty good. They won 2 in a row. They're real good. I think, however, if there's ever a year for the Buffalo Bills to win and go to the Super Bowl, this is that year. Josh Allen, great quarterback. And, of course, you've got, a very balanced team. And you've got sort of the emotional rooting for Damar Hamlin, who's their safety, who turned out to be a pretty good player. Damar Hamlin, of course, the guy who got hit in the chest, whose heart stopped in that game a couple years ago, late December, Cincinnati Bengals. And he almost died. He would have died had not the Buffalo, training team been prepared for it. And he recovered fully, it seems. And, so you got to root for Damar. Good guy. I just think that here's my sense on it. The Chiefs have had good luck along the way. And the Chiefs have had, if you watch it, the complaint is, the referees are kind of helping them out. I suppose you could say that. And you saw Mahomes trying to, he was pushed out of bounds. He was kind of flopping around, kind of looking for a penalty flag in the playoff game where they won. I don't think that with the scrutiny they're going to get, I just don't think that the referees are going to be kind of pulling for Kansas City, as some have said. So here's my pick. Here's my pick from a guy from upstate New York near Buffalo. This is with my heart, not my head. My pick, Buffalo Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. And so the Super Bowl will be a rematch from one of the 1990s, the Washington Commanders against the Buffalo Bills. Who's going to win that one? I don't know. I'm going to wait on that pick because we'll see how this one plays out. It could be any number of things, right? But that's my pick. Washington over Philadelphia, and the game to be played first on Sunday. I think it's like 12:30 in Philadelphia. And then 5 o'clock, it will be the Buffalo Bills visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. My pick in that one is the Buffalo Bills. And we'll see if I'm right. I do have one prediction, though. 25. You know what 25 is? The number of times the television cameras will flash and have a shot of Taylor Swift at the Kansas City game, right? That's the over-under. How many shots of Taylor Swift will there be? All right. When we come back, we'll get back to politics. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey, I'm Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is paid for by Job Creators Network.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Okay, we're going to get back to politics. I know we have some listeners who say, Leahy, don't talk about sports. Yeah, I had to do it, being from the Buffalo area. Had to do it. I'm picking Buffalo to beat Kansas City, Washington to beat Philadelphia, and then 2 weeks from Sunday, Super Bowl. It's going to be Buffalo versus Washington. And I'll pick that winner. Well, if we see I'm right about these picks. Okay, I want to get back to politics here and talk about a little odd thing going on, which is what Donald Trump has done with a couple of people from the State Department. Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State. Remember, he had, Rex Tillerson, the former Exxon guy, as his first Secretary of State, and that was a disaster. And so he fired Tillerson, and he brought in Pompeo, who, for the most part, you thought was doing a pretty good job. He'd been the CIA director, but there's been some tension there between Trump and Pompeo. There was a period of time where Pompeo was thinking of running for president. Also, you'll notice that in his announcement that he's releasing the JFK files, when he talked about it with Sean Hannity, he said, look, I wanted to release them, but Pompeo said it was a bad idea. And he may criticize this, but okay, that's why I didn't last time. A little bizarre. Now, there's another guy, former assistant to Pompeo, Brian Hook. Brian Hook is off the list. He's not getting any protection, and you can't hire the guy. He's not hireable in the Trump administration. Now, Pompeo also, Trump said, is losing his Secret Service protection. And there are people that want to kill him from Iran. So, okay. There's some bad blood with Pompeo. And ironically, so Morgan Ortagus, as you know, who we know here, it's been on our program, who ran unsuccessfully and was not ultimately allowed on the ballot. Morgan Ortagus ran for Congress in the 5th Congressional District here. And it's an old story, but she'd lived in the district for like 2 months. Nobody knew who she was. And she just showed up, and out of the blue, Trump endorsed her. Didn't work out so well. Andy Ogles won that race, ultimately. But now, Morgan Ortagus has resurfaced as the deputy to the special envoy to the Middle East. And you recall this, when Trump announced that appointment, he really just excoriated her. And, I don't know why, but he said, maybe she was terrible before. She didn't back me, but I'm going to give her a last chance. And she better do a good job, or else. And Morgan Ortagus accepted the gig despite that humiliation from Trump. I don't know what's going on there. Having said that, there's something odd about the Pompeo connection. Tucker Carlson, we got this clip here. I want to play this. Clip 12. Tucker Carlson is no fan of Mike Pompeo. Here's why.
Committed a crime. He's threatening me. He's in my car. With my dog sitting next to him, I'll never forget this. And I said, are you really saying that to reveal that the U.S. government had a role in the murder of a democratically elected president, to say that out loud, that's the crime? What about the actual crime, which is murdering a president? Like, you're covering up for that, Mike Pompeo.
What did he say to that?
He had no response at all. And So Mike Pompeo is the one who pressed Trump to keep those documents secret. And so it's like, what's crazy to me is not just that Pompeo did that. I think Pompeo is a really sinister person and a criminal. I think that because the facts suggest that. He was caught. Yahoo News, Mike Isikoff wrote a long piece on this several years ago. His employees went to Mike Isikoff and said, hey, Mike Pompeo is plotting to murder Julian Assange, who's never even been charged with a crime in the United States, as CIA director. That's illegal. You're not allowed. Federal employees are not allowed to just kill people they don't like, okay? Just to set the baseline here. So that's who Mike Pompeo is. But he somehow intimidated Trump into not releasing this. Well, okay, that's all bad, right? I think it's criminal behavior.
Okay, so interestingly, look, I don't know all of these things that Tucker's talking about here. He's usually, spot on. I don't know Pompeo. I interviewed Pompeo once, right? And when he was Secretary of State, pretty impressive guy. But I think there's something weird going on between Trump and Pompeo. Tucker doesn't like him. What does this mean? Well, it means Pompeo has no chance of ever being president of the United States. That's what it means. And, is there smoke where there's fire here? I don't know, but I will tell you this. I am skeptical of Pompeo because the JFK files should have been released. And it was Pompeo's objections to releasing them that stopped it during Trump's first term. So I am suspicious of that. And look, the JFK files, the executive order has been signed. They're going to be out there, and ultimately we'll see what's in there. I don't know what's there. And is there a smoking gun, if you will? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But it is important for purposes of transparency to have those files out there. When we come back in the Tennessee Bonus Hour, Lonnie Spivak, chairman of the Davidson County Republican Party, will join Crom Carmichael and me in studio. Back after this.